This is the Louie Tee Network.
I'm ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Overtime! So we head to overtime.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome to Monday Night Football Overtime. Dallas Cowboys, America's team, hosting the Detroit Lions. Week 16 action, a lot at stake. Not for the Dallas Cowboys, but a lot of teams watching, including the Green Bay Packers. This is a big game. And really, Packers didn't care whether the Lions won or not. It still was going to mean the division on the line week 17 when those two teams met. But for the Lions, would have made things a lot simpler. Go into that game with a little bit of momentum, feeling good about yourself. Redskins watching with a lot of anticipation and a lot on the line. A lot of interest there. And Cowboys just simply want to stay sharp. Try to avoid the injuries. They did sustain one. Tyron Smith did leave this game a little early. No need to see him next week. Probably won't see him until the playoffs. Fine by me. They got it done tonight. And I'll just go ahead and say this at the top of the program. Thank you, Dallas Cowboys. Your efforts tonight were greatly appreciated. Now that out of the way, we still hate you as Redskins fans. And I know you hate us too. It's reciprocal, and we appreciate your efforts 2 weeks in a row. I would say that we owe you, but I'm not going to make you any promises, okay? Just know that we thank you for what you did last week against the Buccaneers and what you did tonight versus the Detroit Lions. Again, your efforts were greatly appreciated. That being said, thanks. You need to record that because I probably won't do that again. In any event, Cowboys were dominant in the second half. Hell, dominant in the first half, but the defense didn't show up until the second half of this game. We'll break this thing down and talk about what the Cowboys were able to do in the second half to really turn the tide on the Detroit Lions, who in the first half of this game were going tit for tat with the Dallas Cowboys. This looked like it had the makings of a shootout, but the only one shooting bullets in the second half was the Dallas Cowboys. Lions shooting blanks. Literally, no points in the second half for the Detroit Lions. We'll break this game down here in a second, but first, if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content in 2016 and beyond. We're changing the game, and 2016, not that many days left, so we're changing the game beyond 2016. And I want you to go ahead and help us do that by subscribing to the Louie Tee Network. Also, I'm on Twitter. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. Go ahead, follow me on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. All of my social media platforms right there in that box scrolling up the screen so you can't miss them. So go ahead and handle that. Follow me on Twitter, like the Facebook page, and most importantly, subscribe to the Louie Tee Network. That being said, let's jump into this breakdown. And we're going to start with the team that took care of business in this football game. Let's change these records because these records are old. And they were from a game last week. And so let's do that. Lions are now 9-6. So we're going to change that real quick. And they're fighting for their playoff lives, and we'll talk about that in this breakdown. And the Dallas Cowboys are now 13-2, and that is impressive, if I may say so myself. Best record in all of the National Football League. The Dallas Cowboys continue to set the league ablaze with their play. And we'll start there on the offensive side of the football. It was another flawless effort by this Cowboys football team. Came out of the gates, guns a-blazing, scored 21 points in the first half of this game. 14 right off the bat on the first two possessions. Made it look easy, as a matter of fact. Were able to score right before the half. They took a little bit of a break. 2 possessions there, they didn't score. And then they scored right before the half. And they didn't let up. They scored 3 more touchdowns in the second half of this game. Even got cute with a little razzle-dazzle on a little bit of a reverse throw pass from Des Bryant to Jason Witten, which was a thing of beauty. It was well executed, well drawn up, and they were having fun out there, man. When you put up a 40 burger on a team that's trying to win their division, that's damn impressive, if I may say so myself. And so to put up 42 on a Lions team that hadn't been giving it up. I talked about this last week when the Lions lost to the Giants. I said, look, it's not like this Lions defense has been trash can this season. They've been pretty good. They haven't been giving it up as much this season. And if you look at the history of what they've done this season, week by week, there hasn't been many teams scoring points on them. And I think up until last week against the Giants, they hadn't given up over 20 in any given ball game. And so they had been playing outstanding defense, and they had nothing for a Cowboys team that had nothing to play for. And at first, it seemed like the Lions were going to come and bring it to the Cowboys. They actually ran the football, and they did some things. We'll talk about that when we get there, but we're talking about the Cowboys right now. What I thought was impressive was the fact that they were able to come out with the same level of intensity that we saw on Sunday night versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from an offensive standpoint. You didn't know what kind of effort you were going to get from the Dallas Cowboys because, again, they have everything that they want clinched already. NFC East champs, done. Number 1 seed in the NFC, done. Home field throughout the NFC playoffs, done. What is there to play for? So you didn't know what kind of effort you were going to get out of the Cowboys. And right away, we found out quickly, offensively that is, that this team was going to show up and they were going to ball tonight. And so that was refreshing. You know what kind of character and you know what kind of team you have when they go out and they do what they did to the Lions in this football game in the first half and into the second half. Defensively, not so much. That was a little bit of a head scratcher in the first half because, remember, Dallas came into this game with the number 1 rated rush defense in the league, and the Lions are one of the worst rushing offenses, yet the Z-Man, Zach Zenner, was going to work on the Dallas Cowboys defense, catching the ball out of the backfield and running it. And Stafford was in a little bit of a zone, even throwing little sidearm darts to guys. They had it going. And they actually took the lead on the Cowboys, 21-14 in the first half. And so you're asking yourself, wait a minute, what's going on here, Dallas Cowboys? Is Randy Gregory coming in and messing stuff up on the defense all of a sudden? Don't blame Randy Gregory, okay? They just were struggling early. Made a few adjustments, and you know the adjustment that I love the most? This is a team that doesn't blitz a ton, okay? Rob Marinelli, not a huge blitzer, you know, would love to just play cover 2, would love to just play coverage behind a 4-man rush. That's the way he was brought up in Tampa Bay. That's the way they did it in the heyday of the Buccaneers with Warren Sapp and all of those guys, McFarland and Simeon Rice, all of those guys on that line. They just rushed 4. That was it. That was the basis for what they did. They rushed 4, and they just dropped everybody else into coverage. And that's the way that he would prefer to do it. Get a pass rush with just 4 and drop the other 7 into coverage. But when that's not working, and it wasn't, you got to make an adjustment. And that's what the good D coordinators in this league do. And trust me, I see a lot of bad coordinators and them failing to make adjustments. Redskins fans know exactly what I'm talking about. And in the second half of this game, the Cowboys decided we're not going to sit back on our heels and allow Matthew Stafford to carve us up. We're going to heat his ass up and see if he can adjust to the pressure that we're bringing because they're not ready for the pressure because they're not used to seeing us come with pressure. When they watched the tape, they didn't see a bunch of blitzing from the Dallas Cowboys. So they weren't expecting a lot of blitzing from the Dallas Cowboys. But what they got in the second half was a bag of tricks from old Rod Marinelli as he started dialing up blitzes from all over the place. Corners were coming, safeties were coming, linebackers were coming. They were running twists, they were running stunts. They started to hit home. David Irvin started to get going as a pass rusher. Sean Lee got in a couple of times and really sped him up. Benson Mayoba got in there, made some things happen, Mayoa. And so all of a sudden now, you started to see the Cowboys mixing up their coverages and their packages, and they started to get to Matthew Stafford. He started to be flustered. He started to make mistakes. Threw a couple of interceptions, fumbled once, 3 turnovers forced by this opportunistic Cowboys defense. Turned this game on its head, and they run away with the game in the second half. And I love the offensive intensity again. That never left. From the first half to the second half, they had it going. Des Bryant, huge game. 2 touchdowns, catching, 1 throwing. He was magnificent in this game. Cole Beasley had another nice showing. Terrence Williams had a drive there in the second half when they were on their own 5-yard line, 8-play, 95-yard drive. And that was the Terrence Williams show for a while there. He had 3 big grabs on that possession to get them down the field. The Cowboys had it going tonight. Jason Witten got involved, did a little something as well. Ran the football effectively with Zeke, got him a couple of touches, and then got him out of there. And that's what you were supposed to do tonight. And when you got it going the way the Cowboys had it going, where you can score 42, and again, this is a Lions team defensively. They're no slouch. To put 42 on those boys on a night where you don't need it, that's damn impressive. That, my friends, is dominant. And that's 13-2 dominant, okay? That's some real big-time stuff right there, okay? That's elite stuff. You know, not everybody's putting up 42 on 42 on the Lions. Go check the records, okay? Look at how many teams have lit the Lions up like a Christmas tree this year. You won't find many. There aren't many stinkers like this. You might have to go all the way back to the early portion of the season to see teams putting up these kinds of numbers on the Detroit Lions. And this was the game the Lions needed, okay? Now, granted, this is a big one. They didn't have their best corner, Darius Slay. That changes everything. It's like Mio. Changes everything for them in this game. Because all of a sudden, now my favorite NFL name, and I'm going to probably drop it at least 3 times in this video, now all of a sudden, you got Johnson Batamosi checking Des Bryant instead of Darius Slay. Now all of a sudden, you got Johnson Batamosi checking Terrence Williams instead of your other corner. Now all of a sudden, Johnson Batamosi is everywhere. And you don't want him anywhere. And so, you get beat. So, you know, you take it with a grain of salt. I'm just going to tell you, this was flat out dominant by the Cowboys. It was impressive, and it was unexpected. I thought that this game was going to be a lot closer. I thought that the Lions were going to come out, and they were going to really make this tough on the Cowboys. And I thought at some point the Cowboys were going to say, you know what? We don't need this, man. We don't need this. But that didn't happen. Dak Prescott stayed in all the way through. I thought at some point we were going to get some Romo. I thought for sure, 4th quarter, Tony Romo time. And they were already up 42-21. I thought, oh yeah. After that final touchdown, Tony Romo time. I was waiting for the crowd to be going off as I come back from break. I was waiting for the crowd to be going off and them to say, and look who's in the game. It's Tony Romo making his first appearance in the regular season. I was waiting. Those boys said, we're going to put the screws to these boys, put them out of their misery, and make sure that we keep the party going. Nah, man, go ahead. Keep the party going. And that's what they did in this game. Dominated. And in the second half, they turned up the defensive intensity. Cut that faucet off. Turned it off and turned the turnovers up loud. And they were able to get after Matthew Stafford. Like I said, they started to blitz him. And it really started to affect the way that he was playing the position because now he had to move. Now he had to create. And he wasn't comfortable. And they started getting to him. He started making mistakes. And they were able to capitalize off the mistakes that he was making in this football game. Big game by the Dallas Cowboys. This was a statement game here because this was almost for fun. We're just going to do you for fun. We don't need this one. We don't. But we're going to do you anyway. And that was impressive. That was impressive. Ezekiel Elliott got him a little taste, got out. Des Bryant had himself a ball in this game. Cole Beasley did what Cole Beasley does, converts on 3rd downs. Terrence Williams got into the act a little bit. Jason Witten does what he does. And the Cowboys offense just continues to motor along. The defense started off slow, gave up 21 points in the first half. Hell, the Lions scored on their first 3 possessions of the game. But in the second half, Rod Marinelli makes adjustments. They turn off that scoring faucet on the Lions, start coming after Matthew Stafford, start being aggressive, and they reap the benefits by forcing 3 Detroit Lions turnovers in the second half en route to a 42-21 decisive victory at home, running their record to 13-2 on the season. Dallas Cowboys making a profound statement that they are the best in the NFC with this victory. We move on to the Detroit Lions in this game. And the offense was impressive early to start. I thought they did a really good job, and they talked about wanting to stay balanced with the run game, and they did that early on. The Z-Man, Zach Zenner, was doing some work early in this game. Really impressive, to the point where I'm saying, what the hell is this? Who is this masked man? Can't be the Z-Man. But he was doing work. And they were spreading the football around. Everybody was getting involved. Ebron, even though he had a drop early, had a little taste early on in the game. Golden Tate, Bolden, they got Marvin Jones involved, and it seems like he's been the lost man in the offense of late. Got him involved early, and all of a sudden they're rolling on the offensive side of the football. They can't be stopped. It didn't matter what it was, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 7. They were converting early in this football game. Cowboys could not get off the field on 3rd downs. And so, because of that, the Lions were converting. Stafford was doing a magnificent job. And this is something that's underrated with his game. He does a great job of escaping the pocket and extending the play. When we talk about extenders, we love talking about Aaron Rodgers. We love talking about Russell Wilson. We don't mention the name Matthew Stafford very often, but yet he's one of the best play extenders in this league, and he's very accurate on the move. And you saw that early in this game. He was moving around, extending plays, and making some great decisions and throws, and making the Cowboys pay. And so they got off to a hot start, red hot start offensively. Looked like this was going to be a shootout. Like I said before, 21-21 at the half. I'm thinking to myself, wow, Lions are not playing tonight. They're actually running the football and running it effectively. Stafford is finding all kinds of targets. He's making plays. Like I said, one play where he steps up, throws a sidearm dart to Bolden in the red zone. I'm like, this guy is dialed in right now. This is going to be a shootout. And then the Cowboys turned up the defensive pressure in the second half, and Stafford and company just simply weren't equipped to deal with it. They just didn't make plays. They weren't able to sustain offense. They started making mistakes with penalties and sacks, and Stafford was sacked at least 4 times in the second half, at least. May have ended up with 5 or 6, but I know for sure 4 of them. And they couldn't run the football in the second half. So it was back to the Matthew Stafford show, and the Cowboys were coming after him. He was trying to escape, but there was nowhere to go, and he ended up taking some shots, and he was grimacing. And at one point I'm saying, hey, time to wave the white flag. Get him out of there. This game means nothing. Next week means everything. Get him out of there. Down 42-21 with about 6 minutes left, 7 minutes left in the game. Get him out of there. You're not coming back. This is no miraculous comeback tonight. You're done. Get him out of there. He's grimacing. He's limping. No need. No need for that. Next week's game means way more than this week's game. Get him out of there. Live to fight another day. So Cowboys definitely turned it up on the Lions in the second half. And like I said, with the defense, this is still a really solid unit. I'm not going to put too much into what I saw tonight because there was, and I know one player generally doesn't make an entire defensive unit, but Darius Slay is so incredibly huge in what they do defensively. It changes everything when your best corner is not out on the field. All of a sudden now Dak Prescott, back foot hits the ground, he can make a decision and throw it because there's no one blanketing Dez Bryant. So I'm not afraid. I'm going to take a shot. Back shoulder fade, throw it up in the end zone, whatever the case may be. I'm not afraid of Johnson Batamosi. I'm not. So I'm going to throw it up. Throw it up, throw it up. Watch him throw the X up. Yeah, I'm going to throw it up. Watch him throw the X up. Well, the dynasty style, I don't know what he's doing now. Doesn't matter. That's the kind of confidence you have when there's not a number one corner out there. And so it changes the dynamic of what you do defensively. Don't think for 1 second Terrell Austin isn't saying, damn, I don't have Darius Slay. I don't want to be too aggressive. I don't want to come after Dak Prescott because I'm going to get beaten man-to-man coverage. I'm not comfortable playing man-to-man without Darius Slay being out there. It changes things. So with that being said, Lions just didn't have it defensively tonight. They didn't have their fastball defensively. And the Cowboys took advantage. They gave up one big run to Zeke Elliott. And for the most part, they did a good job keeping him in check, but they gave up one big run to him. And that was all they needed. They gave Dak Prescott way too much time. And when he didn't have time, guess what he did? He ran. He escaped the pocket and he ran. And so they couldn't get off the field. The Cowboys, they said, had been one of the worst teams in the league on third down over the last 3 weeks. 19% they were completing. 19%. Horrible on third downs of late. Not tonight. They were converting on third downs. They were extending drives. And I know the percentage is probably a little skewed because at the end, the Cowboys didn't give a damn about converting on third down. But when they actually cared about converting on third downs, earlier in the game, before they got up by 21, 42-21, they were kicking ass on third downs. And that just speaks to the Lions' ineptitude on defense tonight. And again, a lot of that stems from not having your best corner, especially when you don't get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I mean, Ziggy Ansah got his second sack of the season tonight. Do you understand that? I was watching the game last week when he got his first sack, and I said, when I heard the commentator say, that's his first sack of the season, I said, man, stop playing with me, man. Stop playing with me, man. That ain't his first sack. Not Ziggy Ansah. That ain't his first sack. Then he said it again. I said, what? What? His first sack? And I know he's been banged up this season, but you ain't got man, you didn't fall into a sack this season? Are you kidding me? So they don't get a ton of pressure, man. Kerry Hyder Jr. was the one really delivering the pressure early in the season. They rely heavily on their secondary to produce, and Darius Slay is a big part of that. So to not have him, it hurt him, but I don't know if they would have stopped him anyway. The Cowboys were dialed in tonight, and they get it done 42-21. Go to 13-2 for the Lions. It honestly didn't matter. You would love to have won this game. I heard Lions fans talking about revenge from the NFC wildcard game a couple years ago. Let's be honest here. Cowboys weren't thinking about half of the team is different from the team that you beat in 2014. Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott don't even know what the hell you're talking about. So it didn't matter. This game didn't matter because next week, whether you won or lost, if you're the Detroit Lions, next week was going to be for the division in any event. Didn't matter. You know, this didn't change what next week's game versus Green Bay was going to mean. Still was going to mean you had to win to get in. The only thing that winning this game would have done was it would have secured you a playoff spot. That's all it would have done. Whether you lost next week or not, you would have been in the playoffs. Now, this is a winner-takes-all affair. The loser of that game, most likely going home. Most likely. Now, if the Redskins don't take care of business, changes things drastically. Then both teams get in. Just one's going to be at home and the other won't. But if the Redskins, and don't count the Bucs out either. Don't want to forget about those guys. Don't know if they still have a shot or not. But bottom line is, you still got a chance to win your division. And that's what it's all about. I know you want to get in the playoffs, but let's be honest. You had this division sewn up like a teller, relatively easy, like Jerry Heller. Drop is cherry vanilla. You had this thing sewn up like a teller. And then you let it slip through your fingers. You can blame the Stafford injury if you like. That's fine. I'll take that as an excuse. But you had opportunities to win. Between now and then, the schedule got hard, and I told you it was going to get tough on that ass, and I wanted to see how you responded. And you responded by losing 3 games in a row. And for that, I say you get what you deserve. Now you got to find a way to turn it back up once more and find a way to win the division. Or else, most likely, you'll be going home. So, and that's the way it should be. Win your way in. Don't back your way in. Win your way in. That's the way it should be. Earn your way in. Play your way in. Let's get to some of your comments. All righty. See what we got. Lion Fire says the Eagles beat the Giants. I mean, come on, LOL. Look, anything is possible. All right? I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Evan Higgins says, can us Skins fans stop relying on Dallas so much? LOL. It would be nice to just go to the playoffs for the team's growth. I agree. We just need to go. And it's not fun having to rely on the Cowboys every week to do our dirty work, but this is what happens when you can't do your own work. If we would have just beat Carolina, we wouldn't have needed to ask the Cowboys for anything other than the Bucs win. But instead, we squandered that opportunity. Here's another gift the Cowboys keep giving us gifts in this season of giving. They keep giving us gifts. I'm not turning this one down. I said, look, man, they gave us another gift. Take it, run with it. Don't look back. This is our chance to make the postseason for the second year in a row. We haven't done this since 1991, 92, 92, 93. That's over 2 decades. Take this gift the Cowboys have given us. Run with it. Don't look back. I've already thanked them for everyone. Don't worry about it. Just go. Just go. SW Mike says Cowboys would rather have the skins the Cowboys would rather have the skins other than the Lions in the playoffs. It just felt like that for a minute. Look, the Cowboys weren't worrying about us. I talked about this. I forgot who I was breaking down, and I said, look, these teams don't give a damn about how they're helping out someone or another team or not. They're thinking about themselves, and that's how you should be. It's a selfish league. I'm not worried about whether you get in or you don't get in based off of what I do. I'm just looking to improve my situation. It's all about me, us, this team, not yours. So the Cowboys weren't thinking, well, if we win this game, we're giving the Redskins a chance, or hey, we lose this game, the Redskins will be done, potentially, or we'll make it a lot harder for them. They didn't care anything about that. They're thinking about them, and that's all they should be thinking about. How do we make our situation better? By winning. How do you keep the momentum going? By winning. So that's what they were looking to do. Blue Rain says, update. My girl now pours the cereal first. Crisis avoided. Man, she's a smart woman, and she learns very quickly, man. I've seen relationships go downhill because of pouring the milk first and cereal last. Doesn't make any sense, man. That'll drive me nuts. So I'm glad that that was thwarted and that crisis was avoided, because that could have gotten out of control. Glad that was handled. Thanks for the update. Captain Spartan 04 says, believe it or not, Detroit had a lead in this game. I know, right? You forget it was 21-14 at one point. 28 unanswered points later. I don't even have the score up here. This is an ass whoopie score. That's how bad it got. Cowboys dominated in the second half. Yikes. Anthony Hibbert says, how about them Cowboys? I give you one of those, man. I don't mind. You caught me in a good mood tonight. How about them Cowboys? Yeah! How about them? 13-2. Best record in the National Football League, along with the New England Patriots. Slip Ammo, my man Slip says, awful one-sided officiating. Not even a Lions fan, but it was obvious hell what was going on. Packers-Lions next week for the crown. I didn't think the officiating was that bad, but there were some calls in there that I didn't necessarily agree with. But in every game, there are calls that I don't necessarily agree with. I didn't think the officiating was overly egregious in one direction or the other. Sherlock Homeboy says, Cowboys fans are cockroaches. Just remember that, God, I hate them. It's okay. They're a villain in the league, and we know this, just like the Patriots. And I talk about this all the time. The league is better. Every league, it doesn't matter. Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, every league is better when the villains are good. It gives you something to watch. Nobody cares when it's an irrelevant, obscure team playing in a national spotlight. Just because you're in a national spotlight doesn't mean we're going to watch. I mean, I'm going to watch, obviously, but let's just say that the Houston Texans were good instead of the New England Patriots. And in the NFC, let's just throw out a random team that, you know, they've got a fan base, but they're not a national product. Let's say go with the Rams. Say they were good. Who gives a damn? Texans and Rams, are you excited about that? No. You know why? Because you don't hate or love either of those teams. You're just like, oh, okay, cool. They're not my team, but I'll watch. Maybe. With the Cowboys, you hate them. You want to see them fail if you're not a Cowboys fan. Same with the Patriots. You either love the Patriots or you hate them. But you're going to watch because you either want to watch them crash and burn or you're going to watch them succeed and be pissed off about it. But you're going to watch. It's better for the league. I love when the Cowboys are good. Love it. It's a much better product when the Cowboys are good. Much more entertaining. The only thing that I can't stand when the Cowboys are good is the amount of attention that they get. My goodness. Every time you turn on your television, it's got something to do with the Cowboys, which, again, doesn't really bother me as much because I don't watch a ton of television. But when I do, it's on. And I'm like, God damn, how many times can you talk about the Cowboys in 1 hour? They find time, though. Trust me. DG Production says, hey, Lou, do you think the Falcons have a legit chance to go to the Super Bowl? Everybody that makes it to the playoffs has a legit shot at making it to the Super Bowl, with the exception of probably like the Houston Texans and the Oakland Raiders, because of the quarterback situation. If you have a quarterback, you have a chance. Simple as that. Styles make fights, and you never know what kind of matchups you're going to get. You may not even have to see the Cowboys. Someone can knock the Cowboys off before you even get to them if you're the Falcons and you remain the 2 seed. You could take care of business in your first game in the divisional round, and the Cowboys could get knocked off like they did about 5 or 6 years ago when they were the team to beat in the NFC. Matter of fact, that was 2007. They were the number 1 seed in the NFC. We're riding high. Giants come in, knock them off in Big D, and go to Green Bay the next week and win there in a really cold game, and they win the Super Bowl. It can happen. I'm not saying that it will, but stranger things have happened. So everybody's got a shot. You just got to get in, and that's the thing. Sue Ellen says, which NFC team can beat Dallas in the playoffs? Every team can beat Dallas in the playoffs. You just got to get there. But, like I said, styles make fights. The Packers are a dangerous team. The Falcons are a dangerous team. If the Redskins get in, they're a dangerous team. The Giants have already beaten them twice. I just named basically the entire roster of the NFC right there. Okay? Seattle, we know Seattle can beat the Dallas Cowboys. They've got the most playoff experience probably of any team in the bracket right now. They're a dangerous team. So anybody can beat Dallas. But will they is the question. Dallas is playing at a very high level, but you don't know what they're going to play like come playoff time. The pressure mounts. It builds. It's a different level of intensity. How will they handle all of that? We'll see. Maybe they handle it in stride like they've done everything else this season. And maybe we're making a big deal out of nothing and they go out and they just blaze it. Go right to the Super Bowl. They showed a graphic today. The number 1 seeds in both conferences have made the Super Bowl the last 3 seasons. If that continues, right now we're looking at a Dallas Patriots Super Bowl. That could be the case. My barber told me this about 3 months ago. He said, it's going to be the Patriots and the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Watch. I said, man, get out of here with that. He said, all right, I'm telling you right now. He might be right. We'll see. Moving right along to some more of your comments. DG Production says, I think the Falcons can beat Dallas if healthy. We'll see. Eduardo O'Neal says, sigh. The Lions can't beat Rodgers with these dumbass corners. The first thing that popped into my head when I saw the Cowboys doing what they were doing, I said, what if Dak Prescott is doing this? What the hell do you think Aaron Rodgers, who is red hot right now, what do you think he's going to do to these faulty and sloppy-ass corners? I'm just telling you, man. Right now, I'm nervous for the Lions. I told you that I didn't think you were going to make it. 2 weeks ago, I said, man, this schedule is about to get rough, tough, and if the Packers keep playing the way that they playing, you might not make it in, partner. I looked at your schedule, and I saw all of these big boys coming for you. And I said, man, I don't like the way this is shaping up for you. We about to really find out how good the Detroit Lions are. And lo and behold, loss at the Giants, loss at the Cowboys, and if they're not careful, loss at home to the Green Bay Packers, and poof, pow, be gone. There's the division, just like that. We're going to see. It's not looking good for the Detroit Lions right now. How about the hit by Chris Jones, the punter, on Andre Roberts? My God, this is the second week in a row we've had a kicker be involved in some serious action. That's some sweet action. Last week, it was a Thursday night abomination where the punter for the Seahawks got smoked trying to hold on to the rock and got devoured, knocked the smell out. This week, Chris Jones is like, hey, man, y'all going to take this penalty and make me kick it again? Oh, y'all really want to piss me off. Okay. You just pissed me off, and you don't want to piss me off. So he went out and delivered a shot to Andre Roberts on the sidelines. And then you got to love how Chris Jones stand over him like, what? Yeah, I just did that. Waiting for some teammates to come get him. Chris, just let him up. You got to love it when a punter get in there and mix it up, man. Put his little helmet down and lower the boom on a return, man. That's fun, man. That's always nice when you can put a little cherry on top. Boop. Now the cipher is complete. Eduardo O'Neill also says the Lions are frauds, and as a fan, they need to lose out so Caldwell gets fired, and we need to get a head coach who can actually coach. Hey, wait a minute. Don't do this. You still got a game left. You were just on cloud 9 like 3 weeks ago. Stop, Eduardo. You got a game left, man. You can still turn this thing around. What are we doing here? 2 straight losses, and all of a sudden, Caldwell has to go, and you want to just take the rest of the season and start anew? No. Stop. When you guys are winning, you weren't saying that. Finish this thing out. Who knows what happens? See if you can beat Green Bay next week. Captain Spartan 04 says, LOL, everyone wanting everyone fired. You know how it goes, man. This is crazy. I told you we live in a sensationalized day and age where everything is right now, instant gratification. I want it now, and I want it right now. Not now, right now. If we don't win now, fire everyone. Fire the team president, the GM, the coach. Fire them all. Get them all out of here. Why? Who you going to replace them with? You think the next guy's going to be better? The grass is not always green on the other side. In certain instances, yes, your coach needs to be fired. But this isn't one of them. Jim Caldwell has this team right here on the cusp of clinching a playoff berth. Stafford hurt his hand. What are you going to do? We can sit here and act like it's not affecting him, but it is. It is. It's changing the way he has to play the position. And the schedule got tough. And you got some guys down. What are you going to do? Go and win in week 17. That's what you're going to do. Win the division in week 17. That's what you can do. It's not done yet. RG3 hashtag smoking at 3 hashtag 1000 says, LMAOO. Louie Tee happy. You're damn right I'm happy, man. But this means nothing if we don't win. And I said that already. So I can be as happy as I want to be. If we don't win, then this means nothing. I told my sisters and my dad, I said, look, I don't want rooting for the Cowboys for the last 2 weeks to go in vain. I didn't do that for my damn health, okay? I didn't do that so we could go and piss it away in week 17. We better goddamn win. I know that much. T. Little says, that Chris Jones hit. Ooh, wee. Got him. Blaze that young man. T. Little says, what do you think of Gregory's first action? I thought he was okay, a little aggressive up the field, as you would expect from a guy who hasn't played all season long. A lot of extra pent-up energy. Still has to get his sea legs and the game legs underneath him. He hasn't played in the game. Got lit up in his ribs a little bit, so he was laboring some. Had to come out of the game briefly. So there's work to be done there. He'll need to work himself back into real football shape, but as far as a guy that can get to the quarterback, we saw some things from him. He was able to get to Stafford once tonight, along with having a nice play unblocked in the backfield, tackle for loss on the running back. So he brings a little bit more athleticism to the field, and if he could just keep his head screwed on straight, they might have a little asset going into the postseason with Randy Gregory's addition to this defense. I really like David Irvin, though. That guy looks like he's a future problem. He looks like a problem in the making, for sure. Eduardo O'Neill says, you can clearly see that without Swanson and Riddick, the Lions are shit, especially because Glasgow is just like Tomlin. Sorry, trash. They miss Theo Riddick. There is no doubt about it. He is a game changer in that backfield. I told you I thought he was the most underrated back catching the football in the league. We talk about Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson and even Ezekiel Elliott's ability to catch it out of the backfield, but Theo Riddick might be better than all of them catching the football out of the backfield. He's that good at it. So for him to be injured and you basically running with the Z-Man, Zach Zenner, as your primary back, that's a problem. And so they're really hurting in Detroit at the running back position right now. And they do have some injuries up front. And I said that. I said these injuries, they take their toll. They take their toll on your football team. And it is what it is. Guys got to come in and step up. Everybody's got injuries this time of the year. Got to find a way to circumvent those injuries and get the job done. That's what depth is for on your roster. RG3 hashtag smoking that 3 hashtag 1000. Is that punter? He said, will that punter be fined on Tuesday? Maybe. Maybe not. He didn't get flagged in the game. And when you're a runner, you're no longer protected. So I don't think he will. But we'll see. Your boss says, the Lions played good in the first half, but they got blown out in the second half. Absolutely. T. Little says, LOL, I know you saw Zeke pay a little respect to his receivers after that first run. Man, you got to definitely pay your respects because those guys are blocking out there on the edges, man. And for a lot of his plays, in this league, when you break off big runs, you gotta give respect to your receivers because big runs don't happen if they don't block. 9 times out of 10, when you see a big run being broken off, your receivers were out there doing work. And I know on the big run that he had, the Lions simply just came with an all-out blitz. They had everybody at the line of scrimmage and a safety deep. And my dad would say, oh, they got everybody in the box. And I said, but you know what happens if he catches a crease? And as soon as I said crease, he hit a crease. And that safety was coming off of an angle, and I said, he's not going to get him. He is not going to get him. He said, he got the angle, though. I said, what angle? And next thing you know, you see Zeke diving into the end zone for a touchdown. And so that's what he can do, man. Doesn't take much. T. Little says, what defense do you think will show up more in the playoffs, the first half or the second half defense? That's not their MO. That second half defense, I think you get a mixture of both. Because they're not a terrible defense. Remember, we thought they were going to be horrible defensively. They've been actually really good defensively this season. At times. Let's taper that statement. At times, they've been really good. Sometimes, against the Giants, borderline dominant a couple of weeks ago. They've had their moments when they've been good, but they've had their moments when they've been horrible on defense. Like against the Redskins on Thanksgiving. They couldn't stop the Redskins at all. And in certain games this season, it's been like that for them where they haven't been able to, there were times where the Buccaneers were moving the football, and they couldn't stop the Buccaneers, but the Buccaneers just simply couldn't finish off possessions. But Buccaneers were moving the football up and down the field. So we've seen the best of this Cowboys defense. We've seen the worst of it. The thing is, they don't blitz enough. And I think maybe tonight might be a little bit of what Rob Marinelli tries to mix in as they get closer to the playoffs. Maybe he'll realize we need to mix in a little bit more blitzing with our coverage just to give these guys in the secondary a little bit of a break. Come after the quarterback, speed him up a little bit, and maybe he'll make a mistake. Or maybe we'll get a sack. But we can't just sit back in coverage and expect our guys to win matchups all the time or make plays because you're not good enough defensively to do that. So I think it's a little bit of both. Cowboys can be beat like we saw in the first half, but then they can also play some really good football, start getting after your quarterback and mixing some things up like we saw in the second half. So I think you'll see a little bit of both of those things. First half and second half defense. And if you get both, you probably win. If the offense is playing like they played tonight, if you get a mixture of both, you're going to win. As you saw tonight. Redskins Pride WGIL says, happy holidays to all. Great game to watch as a Redskin. I have never, and I do mean ever, cheered for the Cowboys like I did tonight. HTTR. Hey, you got to do what you got to do. Like I said, I'm not one to beg, so I wasn't going to beg because I got too much pride for that. But I did say I will be cheering like hell for the Cowboys, and that I did tonight. So I was glad that they were able to go out and get it done. Now that that's over, it's back to business as usual. And I wouldn't have it any other way. T. Little says, LMAO, did you make a Mio reference, the drink? LOL, I'm dead. Yeah, I did. You caught that. I see you caught that. Yes, I did make a Mio reference. I didn't know if anybody got that one, but y'all are so smart out there. Sometimes I underestimate how well you're listening and if you actually get what I say. But you obviously you picked that up. RG3 hashtag spoken at 3 hashtag turn on. It says it's time for the Bucks, Redskins, and the Packers to cash in on Sunday. We'll see. We will see. I don't give a damn about anybody else but the Redskins. So we'll see if, in fact, any of those other teams can cash in on what has transpired with the Lions tonight. Captain Spartan 04 says, crazy stat of 2016. Tony Romo never threw an interception in the regular season. He's the real MVP and comeback player of the year. Oh, man. Stop with your nonsense, okay? I hear your jokes, okay? I get your jokes. Stop your nonsense. T. Little says, I would like to see our DBs catch better. Well, my dad was already crying. He said, man, look, Wilcox can't catch. He already said, look, man, Wilcox can't catch. I'm not expecting him. And the only reason he caught the first pick was because it got tipped by Brandon Carr. And so it slowed it down for him. Wilcox had another opportunity. It seemed like Orlando Scandrick had at least 2 opportunities on the night. It is what it is. You know, what can you do, right? Sean Mack says, maybe the Cowboys punter Jones could play some safety or linebacker after that hit he put on Roberts. LOL. Hashtag textbook. Yeah, he lowered that boom on him, man. Lit him up. It looked even worse in slow motion. Yikes! Anthony Hibbert says, don't forget about our rookie Bryce Butler, who had the first passing TD. Bryce Butler actually isn't a rookie. He came into the league with the Raiders. But that was a nice catch. And he's been in the league for at least 3 or 4 seasons now. So he's not a rookie. But he's coming along. He's making some plays, and that was a hell of a catch because he had to extend between 2 defenders. He knew he was going to take a shot, and he still came down with the football. That's a big catch. And when you get other guys like Bryce Butler involved, it just makes this offense that much more explosive and dynamic because that adds another threat to the table, another guy that you got to try to worry about taking away. And it's just too tough when Cole Beasley and Jason Witten and Des Bryant and Terrence Williams are already out there running around trying to make plays. You don't want to have to worry about Bryce Butler. It's not something you want to do. So anytime you can get another guy involved like Bryce Butler, that just makes it that much better. Samak Rosario says, the thing I loved about the way the boys won this game is they didn't get down on themselves when they were down 21-14, but clapped back and responded with 28 unanswered points. And that's what champions do. That's big time football. That's what I said earlier was that they could have easily said, we don't need this game, man. We don't need this. But then those boys said, nah, we ain't going out like some chumps on Monday night in front of everybody. Nah, that ain't how we operate. We gonna do these boys. And do them the right way. And they did them. 28 unanswered. Got the touchdown right before the half. And they scored 21 in the second half. Put those boys to bed. Read them a story. Tucked them in. Put them to sleep. Captain Spartan 04 says, you said yesterday no one wants the Chiefs. Us Steelers would take the Chiefs. You forget about the best Sunday night game of the year already? Hey, be careful what you ask for. You just might get it. That Chiefs team that you saw once upon a time, not the Chiefs team you will see this time around. Tyreek Hill wasn't even sniffing the field at that point. It's a different animal now, man. Jeremy Macklin's healthy. I don't even know if he was healthy then. Travis Kelce is playing. He's on a new level. That boy's on a new level, okay? I'm just telling you. Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Your boss says, do you see the Cowboys winning the NFC Conference Championship? They got the best path carved out to get that done. They got the number 1 seed. They're going to play at home. They don't have to leave Big D for anything once the playoffs start. Doesn't get much better than that. First round, they sitting at home, chilling, licking their wounds, preparing for whoever's next. Second round, home. Third round, home. Super Bowl. So It's right there for them. They don't have to worry about going out into the cold climate, nasty conditions like they did in Green Bay 2 years ago. Don't have to worry about none of that. No road game. Don't have to go to Seattle. None of that nonsense. They home. So they got a great shot. Robbie Sohal says, will the Lions make the playoffs and do they stand a chance in the dance? I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't like their chances against Aaron Rodgers. That's why this game was so big for Redskins fans, because you didn't want to have to root against Aaron Rodgers next week. I just don't trust the Lions. Remember, the first time these two teams played, and I just made the same reference to my man Captain Spartan about where the Steelers and the Chiefs were at the time when they played the first time around. I know the Cowboys and the Lions are different teams than the first time, or the Packers and the Lions are two different teams than the first time they played. I actually think the Packers are better than the first time. And they put up like 35 in the first half of that game in Lambeau early in the season. Yikes! Zoinks! Scoob! Do you really want to go against Aaron Rodgers? And he's hot now. He's hot. Air Jordy, he's hot. Those boys are smoking over there. I didn't want to have to go against Aaron Rodgers. I didn't like that dynamic. Now I don't have to. I don't give a damn who wins the game. I just need somebody to win the game. Can't have a tie. Can't have a tie. I'm not going to the dance then. But if the Lions do find a way to get it done, let's just assume that they do. For the intents and purposes of your question, they're a dangerous team. Sure, why not? It would mean you would get a home playoff game. So that would mean you would have an opportunity to potentially win a playoff game. And then after that, all bets are off. You never know what happens, who's coming back, who's healthy, who's not. You got a shot. Any team that gets into the dance, dangerous. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Style make fights in the playoffs. You get the right matchup, right situation on any given Sunday. That's why they say that. Any given Sunday. You just got to beat them once. This is not a series. This is not basketball. It's not baseball. You don't have to beat them the best out of 7. You just got to beat them once. And if you show up and you play better than that team on that given day, you win. That's why the playoffs in football, it's a beautiful thing. Because you too have a shot. Sean Mack says, best rookie O-line is Decker, a Buckeye. Best rookie wide receiver is Thomas, a Buckeye. Best rookie running back is Zeke, a Buckeye. And he says, hashtag Buckeye for life. Yeah. Yeah, your boys are tearing it up, man. DG Production says, hey, my grandma says watch your mouth, LOL. She just playing, though. Hey, I'm sorry, Grams. I didn't know you were watching, man. I'm trying to keep it PG-13. I apologize. You know, sometimes I need a reminder that my mouth is getting out of control. I don't think I said nothing too bad, but still. Got to remember. Got some minors watching tonight, man. Never know. So, Captain Spartan 04 says, think us Steelers have the only answer to Tyreek Hill. Ryan Shazier, 4.36, 40-yard dash. And don't forget speed versus speed. Yeah, Shazier don't want none of that, though. He don't want none of that. Trust and believe. Nobody wants to have to chase down Tyreek Hill. You said 4.36. That man is running on 4.26. Yikes! Let me do it one more time. Zoinks! Scoob! You don't want it with Tyreek Hill, man. Robbie Sohal says, Samak Rosario says, Rob Marinelli is doing with this defense has been incredible. He continues to lose defensive players, but gets another player to step up and make plays. He's doing a great job with his defense. And that's why watching him do what and I think that's the biggest reason why Redskins fans are so upset with Joe Barry, is you watch what Rod Marinelli does with this Cowboys defense. Unsung hero after unsung hero. There are no household names on that Cowboys defense outside of Sean Lee. And yet, week after week, he's getting these guys to perform, get off the field on third downs, stop the run, hustle to the football. There's always 3 or 4 or 5 hats running to every ball carrier. That's what you want. Hustle. That's coaching. Making an adjustment. You got your ass lit up for 21 in the first half. Sorry, Grandma. Make the adjustment at halftime. Come out, change up the game plan, and get results. What did he do? Shut the Lions down, stop the run game, came after Matthew Stafford, 0. Goose egg in the second half. That's what good defensive coordinators do. You give them lemons, they make you some nice, cold lemonade, man. Refreshing. My defensive coordinator, you give him lemons, and he's going to give you the bitter beer face. Garbage. That's why Rod Marinelli is good at what he does. And that's what a good defensive coordinator can do for you. Take whatever you give him, whatever cards he's dealt, he's going to play his hand to the best way he can, the best of his capabilities. And we're not getting that in Washington, but the Cowboys are definitely getting that with Rod Marinelli. A guy goes down to suspension or a guy goes down to injury. Next man up comes in, gets something out of him. That's the sign of good coaching. Robbie Sohal says, how much does Darius Slay mean to the Lions team? And I talked about this earlier. He's huge. It's the equivalent of taking the best player off of X said defense and saying, hey, go do what you normally do. Just do it without X said player who happens to be your best. It would be the equivalent. You saw the Broncos struggling without Aqib Talib before they started struggling on the offensive side. Remember they were struggling on defense? You're like, wait a minute, this isn't the same Broncos team. Yeah, that's because they took their best corner off the team for essentially a 3-week stretch. You're going to struggle. It'd be the equivalent of the Redskins taking Josh Norman out of their god-awful secondary. As bad as it is already, imagine taking Josh Norman off of it and saying, hey, go out and try to ball without him. Good luck with that. It's hard to play without your best player. Could you imagine the Seahawks without Richard Sherman? They're struggling without Earl Thomas. Could you imagine them? And you see what Earl Thomas, the difference he makes in that secondary? Yeah, take their best secondary player off of their team and go ask them the ball and see what happens. And that's essentially what you're doing with the Lions. You're taking the best corner, by far, big play Slay, out of their defense and say, hey, go do the same things you were doing. Not happening. It's not going to happen. It's impossible. Can't ask for the same results without having your best player out there. So he means a lot to that defense. Robbie Sohal says, how deep do the Cowboys, or should I say Jerry Jones, have the refs in their pockets? I don't know nothing about that, man. Like I said, I didn't think the game was that bad. Did I watch a different game from Earl or something? I didn't see all of the calls that were bad tonight. I didn't see that. I missed that. So, I don't know. Anthony Hibbert says, you're the only non-Cowboy fan that don't hate on the boys, but give them credit where it's due, at least on your show. Look, man, I told you, I just tell it like it is. That's all I know how to do, man. I speak the truth. Y'all know what I'm bringing to you. I speak the truth. That's all I know how to do. I don't come here to be biased or sugarcoat anything, man. I'm going to tell you how I feel. Now, you might not like it, but it is what it is. I'm just going to give it to you straight, no chaser, no filter. You know what you're getting here. And if you deserve credit, I'm going to give you credit. That's bottom line, man. It don't have nothing to do with alliances or allegiances or none of that stuff, man. I'm here to be unbiased. That's what I do. So, your boys deserve credit, I'm going to give it to them. They don't deserve credit, I'm going to rip them, just like I do the other 31 teams around the National Football League. HBF Calcium says, I think making the playoffs for the Redskins would be good for the team and what their expectations would be for next year. Being confident can produce wins, and that is what you want, and that's what I've talked about. Talk about the vicious and beautiful, flavor-delicious cycle of winning and confidence. Winning begets confidence. Confidence begets winning. That's why the Cowboys are 13-2. That's why the Panthers went 15-1 and went to the Super Bowl. Confidence begets winning. Winning begets confidence. And it just repeats over and over and over. And it's so beautiful. Almost brings a tear to my eye. Man, is that beautiful. Moving right along. RG3 hashtag smoking at 3 hashtag 1000 says, I hate the Cowgirls because of their fans. Well, everyone's got their reasons, but okay. Sean Mack says, speaking of style-making fights, Chavez Jr. must turn down $6 million to fight Canelo. What an idiot. For $6 million, I'd take an ass whipping. Chavez Jr. is a bum, okay? He's nothing like his dad. He's not even good, okay? I could sit here and talk about that clown all night long, but I'm not going to do that because this is not a boxing show. But yes, he didn't want to fight Canelo because he knows he's going to lose, and he's probably going to get knocked out like he did 2 fights ago. He's not stupid. He's got a legacy to protect, and he's more worried about that than making money and going out like a warrior like his dad would on his shield. His dad was a G, and he's not. He's a chump, a C. HBF Calcium says, who would you prefer, the Steelers Chiefs, or Dolphins. I've told you I thought the Steelers were going to win the Super Bowl, or at least go to the Super Bowl from the AFC. So I'm sticking with the Steelers. The Dolphins, that's a fun team to watch right now just because of all the weapons that they have. And the Chiefs are interesting because I think if you're talking most well-balanced and rounded football team, you're talking about the Chiefs in the AFC, to be honest with you. Defensively, they can get after you, shut you down. Offensively, they can score. They usually get in their own way, but they can score offensively. And special teams, they're dynamic with Tyreek Hill. I think they're the most well-rounded team in the AFC, believe it or not. And they're a scary team. Tell you that right now. T. Little says, hopefully Tyron Smith and Anthony Brown are okay. Tyron Smith's fine. He all he did was hyperextend his knee. And no reason to take a chance. Put some ice on that bad boy. Let him sit out the rest of the game. If I were the Cowboys, he wouldn't see the field at all versus the Eagles. Neither would Zeke, neither would Dak. And you get ready for whoever you play in the second round of the playoffs, in the divisional round. Tyron's fine. Now, Anthony Brown, I can't speak to his injury. Don't know exactly what happened. I just know he was on the ground. I don't know if that's a concussion or what he did, but hopefully he is all right. RG3 hashtag smoking at 3 hashtag 10 says Trent Williams was ranked the best O-lineman in the league this season. It's an all Dallas and Redskins Pro Bowl offensive line, starting offensive line. So that's fun. That's nice. Corey Fitterman says, okay, family, all our Skins got to do is win on Sunday and we're in. Hail. Yeah. That's what it's about. Take care of business now. Cowboys did us a huge solid 2 weeks in a row. Can't waste it. Can't waste it again. Sean Mack says 63 viewers now. Yeah, I mean, I was up to 117 last week, and the week before that, it was at 121, man. When the Cowboys win, I told you before, I'll tell you again, it's good for business, man. It's great for business. Lion Fire says, so Romo going to the Texans, 49ers, or Browns next season. Scratch off the Niners. Scratch off the Browns. Texans, maybe, but they're already paying Brock Osweiler an insane, inordinate amount of money. I don't think they can afford another steep contract because, hey, just in case you didn't know, Tony Romo's not for free, okay? So I'm thinking more like Broncos next year, maybe Jets, one of these veteran teams that you think is good enough to win right now, but just needs a veteran at the quarterback position. Those are more likely destinations than, say, 49ers or the Browns. Texans, yeah, they could use a Tony Romo, but they already got money tied up in the position. So, don't know how that's going to go. Melvin Glowson says, where's Alfred Morris? So, I was told AM hurt himself in practice, which is why he was inactive last week and this week. He's dealing with a little bit of an injury. I just assumed that now that Darren McFadden was back, they didn't have any use for him. They were only dressing 3 backs. And so they just said, hey, man, we're going to deactivate you this week. But I've been told he was a little banged up. I fully expect to see him next week. Because if I'm the Cowboys, I don't even know if I dress Zeke Elliott next week. Next week is like the 4th preseason game for me if I'm the Cowboys. All of my starters are sitting down, man. They in street clothes watching the game, laughing it, chumming it up. There's no reason to even put those boys in harm's way against the Eagles next week. Captain Spartan 04 says, Travis and Jeremy were healthy, but they were just quiet. Ross Cockrell on Jeremy. Sean was on Travis. Don't think that that's going to happen again. And that was a nasty, sloppy night in Pittsburgh, too. It was wet. It was nasty. You jumped those boys early in that game. They were fumbling all over the place. And before they knew what hit them, it was like 28-0 in the first quarter. It's not happening again, man. Trust me. I'm telling you. You better be careful. You're barking up the wrong tree. Samak Rosario says, Cowboys tonight had 4 players out. Crawford, Claiborne, D. Lawrence, and Thornton that will be back in the playoffs. So I think they will be stronger in the postseason. And that's why you got to give even more credit to Rod Marinelli. You know, those guys are out. They just plug in more guys, man. You know, Myoba gets in there a little bit more. Your rookie gets in a little bit more. I think not Tapper, but my man, the defensive tackle from Oklahoma. I think he's from Oklahoma. He gets in a little bit more. All of a sudden now, guys have to step up, getting a little bit more burn. You get your guy back from the suspension tonight. He's out there playing. Randy Gregory's out there playing a lot more snaps than you would like him to back in his first action this season. And he just gets it done. You know, they started off slow, had to make some adjustments, but they did it. Shut the Lions down in the second half. All right. And I think that is it for comments. All right. Oh, no, I got more comments on. See where we are. I hate when I lose my spot. Here we are. My man J Moose says, win and end. Not quite, but yeah. Again, win and you're most likely in. A tie could do us in. But yeah, it's basically a win and end scenario, yes. Sean Mack says, before car injury, I was hoping for a Raiders-Falcons Super Bowl shootout. Well, that's dead now. Slip Ammo says, Tyreek Hill, shades of Dante Hall. Man, he is on another level, dude. Like, Dante Hall had some quicks on him. You know, they called him the human joystick for a reason because he could jump backwards, sideways, and make you miss, juke in small, tight spaces. Tyreek Hill just running past dudes, man. Like, it ain't even fair. It's like Roadrunner and Coyote, dude. Beep, beep. He just running circles around dudes. It's crazy. Sean Mack says, my Buckeye Shazier will blow his ass up. Good luck with that. You got to catch him to blow him up. Got to catch him to blow him up. Captain Sparta says, we need Louie Tee highlights. I need to put a package together, man. A nice little package. Eagle Speed is a nerd says, Cowboys versus Patriots in Super Bowl 51. You heard it here first. Patriots will win 38-21 on a last-second field goal like always. Well, that would be an entertaining game, indeed. Robbie Sohal says, we all have different teams, but let's all represent as we always are, as we all. Louie Tee Nation. Yeah. Hey, I appreciate that, man. No doubt. That's what I'm trying to do. Bring everybody together, man. It's a big forum. You can talk your trash. You can rep your team. You can talk about football in an educated manner, or you can just be ignorant. Either way, man, we all here talking football, and that's the most important part. Captain Spartan 04 says, Shazier probably has a faster burst than Tyreek Hill. That's where Shazier can get Tyreek. If he gets started, I don't think Shazier is going to be able to catch him. You got to get him before he gets started. That's the key. Sean Mack says, it's fun kicking it with hashtag Lab Room fam, man. Indeed, it is. Always. You guys are a mess. Corey Fitterman says, I'm like you, diehard Redskin fan, but got to give credit to Dallas as much as I don't want to, but they've been the best all year long. And you can't deny that, man. Like I said, it's all about giving credit where credit is due, man. You can hate on these boys all you like, but bottom line, they've been getting it done all season long, man. So you got to give them their credit where it is due. My man Sean Mack says, as a Buckeye, I can't stand to say this, but Brady is the GOAT. I vomited a little in my mouth saying that, hashtag LOL. Hey, but you, again, got to give credit where it's due, even if he's a Michigan man. RG3 hashtag spoken at 3 hashtag telling it says, why is everyone blaming the refs? I don't know. Maybe I watched a different game. I keep hearing people referencing the referees tonight as if they had a huge impact on the game. I missed that. Sorry. Lionfire says, I'm kind of hoping they play Mac Brown as the second running back versus the Giants. I think you're going to see a little bit more of Mac Brown. I think you're going to see a little bit. I watched Jay Gruden's press conference today, and it sounded like a guy that felt like Mac Brown. And, you know, he's a Mac Brown guy. Jay likes Mac Brown. That's why he's been around. And I think Mac's going to get some more touches versus the Giants. It wouldn't shock me. Captain Spartan 04 says, I'm going to keep chopping at this Chiefs tree until the tree falls on me. Hey, man, do your thing. Do your thing, man. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. So keep doing your thing. HBF Calcium says, best free agent next season, where would he go? I don't know. I have to look at the list of free agents. You know, it's always tough. Always tough with the free agency pool. You don't really know what you're going to get. So it's really hard to say. RG3 hashtag smoking at 3 hashtag 1000 says, the Ravens should cut CJ Mosley and T Sizzle so my Browns can sign them. Not happening. And you know that. So, in any event, that's going to do it for this breakdown. Dallas Cowboys dominate the Detroit Lions 42-21. This was a 21-21 game at the half. Forgot about that, didn't we? As the Lions get dominated in the second half. But never fret if you're a Lions fan. You still have one more opportunity to redeem yourself and win the NFC North division in Week 17 at home versus the Green Bay Packers. This loss leaves you at 9-6, but 10 is good enough to win that division, and a win next week will erase everything that happened the last 3 weeks. A loss would erase everything you've done over the first 16 weeks of the season. So that's going to be a huge game for the Lions. As for the Cowboys, they continue to be one of the league's best, by far the NFC's best, as they win again in dominating fashion, 42-21. 13-2 now for the Dallas Cowboys. They've already locked up everything in the NFC worth having, locked up their division, locked up the number 1 seed, locked up home field throughout. They're just playing right now at another level, and they're going to be a tough out in the NFC. That is for sure. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room on the Louie Tee Network. This has been another fun edition of a Monday Night Football Overtime. Remember, the last edition of Monday Night Football Overtime, as this was the last Monday night game of the season. I hope you've enjoyed the Monday Night Football Overtime series this season. It will be back next year. And so, for all of you out there watching, for all of you commenting, I say thank you. Extend a gracious, warm thank you. Happy holidays, and as always, God bless and good night. See you next time. And remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. Cowboys get it done, 42-21, 13-2 on the season. Lions drop to 9-6 and go to Week 17 at home versus the Packers in a winner-take-all NFC North family business showdown. We'll talk about that game and many more this upcoming week. I'll see you later on. Have a good one.
Broncos won the Super Bowl when Peyton Manning retired. 49ers won 5 games and Tom Sula got fired. RG's in Cleveland and my Rams hit the West Coast. Be sleepless in Seattle cause that 12-man ain't beast mode. Oh yeah, I knew it was something I forgot to mention. Yeah, old Tom Brady about to get that suspension. Yeah, I know the Pats fans probably think that's whack. Yeah, but at the end of the day, your balls was flat. It's that time again. It's that time again to go hard in the offseason, cause we trying to win.